Welcome to the Personal Trainer Experience, where we get real about what it's actually like to live, breathe, and survive in the fitness world. Today's guest is an old colleague of mine from Equinox in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Amanda Hart isn't your average coach. She's what happens when brains and style collide. Born in Long Island, battle tested in New York City and LA, she's trained in big box gyms, boutique gyms, and now coaches clients around the world without ever leaving her apartment. She's NASM certified, precision nutrition, kettlebell certified, a Division One runner turned reverse dieting strategist with a marathon time of 3 hours and 30 minutes, and a third place finish in her first ever NPC bodybuilding show. She's built her brand from scratch, launched programs that work, and somehow still finds time for fashion, live music, and dreams of spinning sets as a DJ. Her vibe is pretty chill and unapologetic human. Let's get into it.
Hey, thanks for that awesome intro, Hector. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Yeah, I like coming up with these stuff because it's
Fun.
like you never like only on weddings or something like do people get like like a introduction or a summary of at least your work
Yeah,
resume,
totally.
right?
Yes.
All right. So first question is let's start at the beginning. How did you get into fitness? Because it's what is it, like 40% of the US population is obese, right? Everybody has well, like 11, I think it's 11% of people have type 2 diabetes. Most people live sedentary lifestyles and, they don't work out, they don't do anything. So what made you get into fitness?
Yeah, so I kind of fell into it. My major in college was a public health degree, and I was always actually on the other side of the coin. I was always the athlete. I was always being coached. So being a runner, track and field, cross country, I fell into eventually being more an authoritative role. I was the team captain of my high school team, and then later on in my Division One cross country and track teams. So kind of just being put in that natural leadership role made me more inclined to become, I think, the coach later on. And then also just having amazing coaches in my life who really influenced me and led the way and made me really believe that that role was so important in people's lives, and they were in mine. And I grew into the idea of wanting to give back to other athletes the way my coaches gave to me. So I was just very lucky. I had really good coaches in my life, and they modeled what it was like for me and what that could be. And being the team captain in both times of my life in high school and then in college, I was like, I think this is something I could do. And then I had a friend who worked in corporate in Equinox. So she was 2 years older than me. So when I graduated college, I didn't really have a clear idea of what I was going to do. I didn't really want to go for my master's, and but I loved healthcare. My major was in public health, and I didn't really have a clear direction. And she suggested, she was on my team, but she graduated 2 years before me, and she was like, "You would be an awesome trainer." She's like, "At least for the time being, come on in. They have a new gym opening up on the Upper East Side in the city in Equinox, and you should apply." And the rest is history. That's how I kind of fell into it.
So that was your first PT job, huh?
That was Equinox.
Ah. You know what I was thinking about earlier today? I miss the time we had at Equinox because it was like a team of people, and then you actually had
Yeah.
coworkers, right? You had a
Yes.
manager, and then you had people who are all trainers are usually very optimistic, right?
Yeah.
They see the glass half full, and so it's like you were hanging out with a whole bunch of like-minded people,
Yeah, I
and
think it was the time in our lives too. Like we were young, we were hungry, we were eager to learn. And I don't know when you came in, but when I came in and I opened up, I was the second person, the first female hired for that club. So I think there is an
mm,
energy with a new club, and it was a flagship location for a while. It's 5 floors, it's a huge club, and people really excited about that location. The energy around opening that club and the team that they built was really, really something. I learned a ton, and we had a blast. I mean,
it was so much fun, but it also made me think now the natural progression is you work at big box gym, you learn the trade, and then eventually you go out to start your own business, or you train out of the gym, right? Like at people's houses, or you have your own gym. But you know what? Like I missed the camaraderie, because starting your own business, it gets lonely because you're just one person, right? You don't have coworkers you could complain to, or you have a manager you could ask questions to. There's no team meetings, there's no birthday parties, there's no New Year's bash. Like it's all one now. It's just you, right? So how do you deal with that isolation of being a single business owner?
Well, I that didn't really become an issue for me until I went completely remote. And I went completely remote with COVID. I kind of was shoved into that part of my business. I like just solely just being an online coach. And thank God I already had the established online business. I have already had the established online clients. So I had a handful of in-person clients, and they were long-term clients. And it was more like a deep relationship, a friendship. COVID pushed me away from all the gyms when they closed, and I became solely online. So I didn't really get a taste of what that was like actually until like 2020. And then I moved to LA. And that's where I actually felt that. I really felt the isolation. I really felt that loneliness. And so I actually just started, no shade to the company I worked for in LA, but I started teaching class, and I looked at it as kind of like charity work to get out, just to meet people, to socialize, and to have fun, because I really do still enjoy the energy of teaching class. I really do still enjoy talking to people, that face-to-face interaction. So after 2 years of being in LA and just being solely online, I said, it's not about the money. I looked at it again as charity work, but also a social component that I felt was missing from my life. And that was more important to me than I'm doing this for the money. It was, I want to talk to people. I want to influence new people. I want to have a reach in my community. And that's why I started teaching in my local community in LA. So here I am back in New York. I'm doing the same thing. I'm kind of hybrid, mostly online, but I am taking a small amount of clients in person. And that feels good to me. That feels good. I think every trainer needs to find out what works for them, because I think like we hear from our colleagues, online is the best. It's the way to go. Freedom, freedom, freedom. Like you can travel the world. But you know what? That might not be your jam. That might not be something that's ideal for you. Maybe you enjoy the face-to-face interaction, and there's going to be something for everyone. Some clients are completely okay being completely remote, doing their training sessions on Zoom, and some people prefer to do it in person. There's going to be a field and a market for everybody. And being online, it's been glorified, especially in the last 10 or 15 years, like when it just emerged as this possibility about 10 or 15 years ago when we were just seeing it, and it was completely glorified, I think. And people were like, this is the way to go. But I think it's important to test the waters for yourself and figure out what feels good for you authentically, what feels good for you intuitively. Where do you shine, and figure that out. And you could have a hybrid business. It doesn't have to be one way.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be both. I mean, one or the other.
Yeah.
You're right. It's everybody. I mean, but it's a good idea to have both. Like what you're doing is, because it's better to have multiple clients from different like different streams of income, and not just rely on just one avenue.
100%.
Right? Mm-hmm. All right. So I know you moved to California, and then now you're back to New York City. So what happened during the switch, and what was it like mentally and professionally to start over? Because, you go to a new place, nobody knows you, you don't have a community, you're
100%.
You're just a guy or a girl in a new gym. You're the new guy, right?
Yeah. So in LA, most of my time spent there, I did just continue with my online business. I really didn't step foot into a lot of gyms to train until the end, partly because of COVID and partly because I was moving through a lot personally. I was going through a lot of grief on my end. So I didn't have the energy to really go out there and find clients. But toward the end of my stint in LA, that's when I was like, you know what? I miss that one-on-one interaction. I want to get out there, and it's not about the money. I'm going to start teaching class at the small boutique gym. And I had a blast. It was great. It definitely filled my cup. But why did I go out there? I wanted to experience a different city, but the lesson learned is I think it's important to live outside of the city you're born, 100%. I think if you can do that early on in your 20s, I think that's really ideal. but you can do it anytime in your life, really. But I'm so glad I did, because I really discovered the importance of my community. I really discovered the importance of the network that I built over the last 20 years in New York, from graduating college. You can't replace that. You can't, it's very, very difficult to move to a new city and to start over, because the time spent is irreplaceable in one location. So if you have a really good network in one city, regardless if you're trying to do an online thing or in person, it matters. It really matters, and it's helpful. So I would say if you're curious to move out of your city and to experience another just life, I think you should absolutely do it. Try to do it early. It's harder to do it if you stay in one place for 15, 20 years and then you're like, I'm going to up and leave and start over. You have to really want to live in that other city. For me, Los Angeles was experimental. It was a different taste of life. And for me, and where I was in my journey of life, I went there for a personal reason. Initially, it was to experience a different city, and then it became to heal, because I had lost a family member, and it just became a place to grieve and a place to heal. And that was really important to me. And I'm so grateful that I had that time. But after, a couple of years, the wound kind of softens a little bit, and you learn to live your life around grief. And I started getting out there, and I was like, this is great, but I want to go home. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's any shame. I don't feel like I was defeated in any way. I wasn't one of these people that was like, I want to grow up and I want to travel the world. I'm somebody who, I desire stability. And I learned through this experience that I desire my network and my community. My clients are like gold. Like, some of them who have been in my life for 15 years, I call them my surrogate parents. Like, they've taken me on trips. They've given me loans. Like, the way these clients have stepped in, it's been very family-like, because I lack that structure and love from a real family. So the love and the structure and the support I've gotten from my clients has kind of replaced those feelings of what a family is really like. So going away from all that really put this in perspective, and I'm so grateful to have had that experience.
Ooh, very interesting. Because I've never really felt like family-ish with any of my clients ever. How did that happen? Yeah, because I'm super curious, because I would train somebody, right? I help them out here and there, and then that's it, right? And then I go about my day. So how did it happen? Yeah, how did it happen?
Yeah, I think every one of us has a strength, and my strength is with people. And I've had this question come to me from my other friends who also, like my friend Gabby, you know her, like, she's just like, yeah. I don't know how this happens to you. Like, how do clients just like, oh, you're having money problems? Here's money. You want to come on a trip with us? Come out to the Hamptons for a week, or, a BPM festival, Burning Man, whatever it is. Like, I've had some of my friends, the clients have turned into like my best friends, right? And I don't train them anymore, but a few small handful of them, I do still train, and I do consider them family. So how does that happen? I think it's the person you are. I don't think it's anything you could force. It's not something that I could really articulate how it happened, but I know that from being with other people and having it reflected to me, my strength is working with people, connecting to people. One of my strengths is empathy. Like, I just feel when people feel, I feel. I connect with people on a whole other level. And I think that's a talent of mine. I'm not like the most tech savvy like you. I'm not, I'm most scholastic. I didn't excel in school. But when it comes to connecting with people and really reading the room and understanding what people need in order to succeed because of the bigger life picture, I excel. And I think when you are able to connect with people and really understand where they come from, not just what they're eating and how they're training, the whole package. Like, I'm very open about speaking about my grief. I've had moments where I just break down in the gym and I don't hide it because I'm not ashamed, because we're all human beings. So I have like that awareness on that next level where I think people feel that they can connect to me. So it's not really something I can articulate how it happened. It's just who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I always saw trainers like get super close with their clients. I have like a buddy of mine back in Queens. He's really close with a client, but she's like a mom to him. And then at Equinox, you would also see, especially the female trainers would always get really close to their clients.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know what? I think I've had like one or two clients I got really close to and still keep in contact even though we don't train. But yeah, I don't know why. But yeah, I think I would have like a wall
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
around
I
me
think
where
totally. Yeah, and I think that's okay because as long as you did
yeah,
your job, right? As long as you're getting them results, some people they don't want to connect to their trainer that way, and you're going to attract the clients that you're most like, right? And but I have always maintained like a balance where like even if they become close with me, if they continue to work with me, I'm still going to take that seriously. I'm
yeah,
still going to always be present in their session and I'm going to like run that professionally. But outside of that, like we can talk about other things. But yeah, there is a fine line. There is a fine line because some clients, like my friends out in Vegas now, they started out as my clients and I got them from Equinox, and now they're my best friends. We've spent
yeah,
Christmases together. We've traveled together. I've seen the world with them and I don't train them anymore. And so some leaves do turnover and some clients who happen to be older, I've mentioned my surrogate parents, I do still train her. So we're able to still maintain that professionalism in the session, but we're still able to turn that off when I'm out there in the Hamptons and I'm like, yeah, let's have some ice cream together. Like let's
yeah,
just chill and relax. And, we don't necessarily drink, but there's a balance. And I think every trainer and every client is going to be different.
yeah. And I admire that because it's pretty cool. Like if I had a trainer and I had a super cool connection where I become best friends with them or really close with them, I would love it because it's not easy making friends, especially as you get older. When you get older, you don't make that many friends. Even me being here in Bali, I have like one, two friends and stuff. And but when I see a trainer like you training a client and they're getting along so great, I would get a little jealous inside,
Mm-hmm.
and that's cool. So,
But again, like,
kudos to you.
of course, yeah, thank you. But it's like, what have you created things I can't create? Like the training notebook and you've dove into technology way before a lot of people have. So you've been a lot of forward thinking in that way. I think it's really important to remember, like, we all have our strengths, and there's room for all of us at the top.
Yeah, yep,
Mhm.
you're right. You're right. All right, let's talk about technology. Your website looks legit. It's freaking awesome looking. Right. I
Thank you.
like the design. I like the fonts. I like the colors.
Thank you. I had a lot of help with that.
I see you're building an email list, right?
Yes, I
Like
do
people.
have I have an email list that's been building for a while, and I think that's really important to get going as soon as you start your business. An email list, 100%. I think it's really important to find people who are excelling where you are weak, or just lacking. That website, my graphic designer, Liana Benson, shout out to her. She has helped me through and through with that website, and luckily she knows me personally as a person, so she's able to say, like, I know you're goofy, you're this and that, I know what you do. So she was able to put it together, but she's absolutely incredible. If anyone listening to this, y'all need a graphic designer, she's your girl, Liana Benson. But yeah, find people to help you. You're not going to be able to do it all alone, especially if you're starting an online business. But like, if you don't have a big audience, for example, I wouldn't stress the website so much. Like, I found a lot of success in the beginning by hiring a girl who still works for me off Craigslist in 2016. She
Ooh,
still works for me.
Craigslist.
Yep. She's my assistant to this day. So she gave me advice back then, which was write blog posts and publish them every week. And I did that. And that's how I grew my email list. That's how I got a lot of initial traction starting out in the online field. It was writing consistent blog posts. Everything's different now. So, I
Mhm.
wouldn't recommend that strategy anymore. I don't think the payoff is the same. But, 10 years ago, it worked. And, I think it's important to find out what's working now, what's trending now, where are people finding the most success, because things are always shifting and changing. And they certainly are different from 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, big time. And I saw that you're giving out ebooks, right, for content,
Yeah.
right?
So I have some freebies on my website. Anyone could go check them out. I have some staple programs one-on-one. Metabolic Mastery is for reverse dieting specifically. Then there's Reset Revolution, which is for weight loss. And Harmony is my microdosing integrative coaching program. And that I don't like to talk too much about, but it's definitely there running in the background. For anyone curious about microdosing with psilocybin, it's definitely there. And there are freebies. There's free PDFs online, so you can definitely check them out. And I think it's important to have free stuff now. That's a key thing, to be able to promote stuff on social media. Download my free ebook, download my free PDF, cheat sheet, blah blah blah. That's a great way to spark conversation right now on social media. Give away free shit. That's how you're going to turn heads and get new traction, get new people walking in the door.
So what kind of results have you gotten from your website?
Yeah, the website actually draws in a lot of people, some from my blogs, some from promoting on social media, some from word of mouth. But mostly my blogs are still providing some traction, not what it used to do, but it is. And I will say that it was doing a lot better. Things were going a lot better before I did the big rebrand 2 years ago. Rebrands, if I can go back, I probably would consider not rebranding because it's essentially you're just cutting off your lifeline and starting over.
Oh, so now, did you change the domain name and everything?
Everything.
Oh yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that. The only reason why I did that was because I was doing more stuff outside of just fitness. I'm doing more meditation stuff. I'm doing more with holistic health, the microdosing stuff. So I'd be going to these seminars, these meetups outside of fitness. And my name back then, my brand name didn't really reflect my whole inclusive work, and business and brand. So I changed it. And there's nothing wrong with changing it. But I would say after 10 years, you probably want to stick with the same name brand.
Right. Yeah, because you got the whole history.
That's right.
Right? You got 10 years of history.
Correct. I mean, it was 14.
14. Damn, you started early then. Shit.
Hell yeah, I did.
Yeah, because I didn't build my apps into 2012. So that means you started 2010 or something.
Yeah.
With the website.
Yeah.
No, you've taken this seriously from the get-go, huh? That's pretty good.
I did. Yeah.
All right. And another thing is you're consistently on social media, right? You even do a little dancing, some lip singing, which is cool, really cool. So what kind of results have you gotten from that, from just straight up social media, like people hitting you on the DMs or what?
Yeah, like I would say, if anything, my posting has slowed down a bit, but I want to get back into it. I find that when you show more of your personality on social media, not just the fitness, the nutrition, when you're goofy, when you're dancing, again, you're going to attract clients who are more like you, right? Like, sure, you're going to defer those clients who are like, that's not my vibe. Like, I'm a serious person, and I go to work at a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're going to defer for some people, but you're also then going to attract people. And the thing about the internet is that it's wide. Right. There's a very, very large reach. It's the world. So, you will attract the people who are most likely like you. So my advice is to be yourself. Don't try to be like somebody else. Don't try to censor yourself. And that's something I'm still learning how to do, because with this rebrand, it's like I have this opportunity to start over, and it's like it's put a pause on everything. It's like, how do I want to proceed for the next 10 or 15 years? So like, I want to be perceived as a woman moving into her 40s, sure, more professional, but I still need to sprinkle my personality in there and show my silly self, my goofy self, and that's never going to change. But, we're going to take a different twist on it. As a woman moving into her 40th decade here, there is a certain level of professionalism I want to bring in, but I think it's still important to show yourself, your personality, because you're going to attract, again, those people who are most like you. So I think on social media, as long as you are staying authentic to who you are, you will continue to just attract clients who are most like you and attracted to you.
Yeah, and you started early with the social media. Because I remember back in the day, like you were putting up more videos than I don't know, and most trainers, because that was the way the fitness industry was heading towards, right? Because before, I think you would just go to get new clients to word of mouth, or you would do, I guess, Google ads, But now it is free, right? Just make free videos and then do people send you direct messages or how's that work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think right now the big thing is actually like reaching out to people and building relationships in DMs. And if you're a trainer starting out, that's probably the route you're going. And what people are saying is actually the way to go. It's not blog posts, it's not word of mouth. It's
Yeah.
actually creating relationships and getting people to talk in the DMs. I find that that's like a second job. If you can hire someone to do that, that would be great because as the coach, you are going to be preoccupied with building programs. And if you're still training in person and if you're training online, it's a lot, right? And social media, especially for, we're kind of old now, Hector. Oldies like us, millennials. It's almost
That's not
like,
gray hair. I don't
yeah,
know what that is.
exactly. Same. Yeah, it's helpful to have, a younger person to help you and to constantly being there in the DMs, creating relationships, fostering conversations, because you have to start just building trust in your community. So I think just learning what your community wants, what the need is, learning the demographic and who your audience is, and then scaling to them and promoting to them and giving them a solution or two to their problems. I think that is the most important thing. And then cultivating those relationships in the DMs and building the relationships and fostering those conversations is extremely, extremely important.
Okay. That's true. Very true,
Yeah.
Amanda. What's the one thing you wish more women would understand about fitness and their bodies?
Honestly, I wished women understood that this is more than just an aesthetic and something you want to change about your body. If you can really understand that health and wellness and fitness and going to the gym and eating well is more than just obtaining a beach body, then you're going to make this habit stick, not for a week, not for a month, not for a 12-week cut, but for life. So when you can associate working out and eating well with your mental health, with showing up better at work, with preparing better for that project you have due by the end of the week, being more present for your children, for your relationships, and having a good, longer quality of life, then hopefully you'll have more motivation to continue to show up. It's not about setting a PR every week. It's not about losing weight. Sure, you can have those goals, right? And absolutely that will keep you motivated, but that's not going to be a continuous thing month to month, year to year. What's going to keep you consistently showing up is associating your health with more than just your aesthetic body. When you associate it with the quality of life, with your mental health, and taking primary preventative action toward dis-ease later on in life, which is disease, right?
Yeah.
Moving our body and even just simply going for a walk every day, getting some sunlight on your face. And that was a part of my rebrand because there's so much more that goes into our health and wellness than just the food that we're putting into our body and the program that we're doing in the gym. It's so wide, the spectrum. And I think when people can associate their health with those longer term things, they're much more prone to stay consistent.
When you take out a new client, what kind of habits do you try to get them to
Yeah. So with a new client, it's honestly, I'm gonna get a little nosy. I'm gonna get a little nosy. I'm gonna ask them about their sleeping habits. I'm gonna ask them about their digestion. I'm gonna ask them how often they're pooping. I'm gonna dive in. It's not just like, okay, are you eating, a veggie a day? Sure, that's important. But I'm going to usually ask them to track their food at least for 3 to 5 days. I'm going to ask them how much sleep they're getting at night. I'm going to probably dig around a little bit to get a sense of where their stress levels are at. But sleep is the fundamental first pillar, I think, of building a solid foundation of health. Is really like getting to the bottom of how much sleep and good quality sleep they're getting, and then from there building out. Okay, are you on screens up until the moment you go to bed? Let's change that. Just lifestyle habits. How bright are your lights in your house? How can we start to dim those down and get you more on your natural circadian rhythm? And then how often are we moving our body? Can you get off the bus 2 stops before and walk 15 minutes home instead of taking it right outside your door? So it's really digging around to see what they're doing in their everyday life and how we can tweak their habits just softly and gently, one thing at a time, so that things don't feel so overwhelming. But yeah, I get personal. I'm going to ask them all these questions and then make the assessment based off of that. Of course, the training program's important. Of course, the nutrition's important. But the other things I find are just as important, and they often go overlooked.
Okay. And I see that you just finished a program and you're starting a new one. What was the
Yeah.
program called?
So I did an 8-week shred challenge. So shred was an 8-week kind of jump start to get feeling most confident for the summer. It's a fat loss program. We just wrapped that up, but we will be launching again probably in the fall. And right now I'm shifting the attention to a metabolic mastery, which is my reverse dieting program. I am taking on a few clients, and it doesn't need to necessarily be somebody who wants to reverse diet, but maybe foster better habits around your nutrition. Maybe you've been under eating since you last dropped into a cut and you just haven't gotten your calories back up. And this is very common with a lot of men and women. Yeah.
What is reverse dieting?
Yes, reverse dieting.
Yeah.
So reverse dieting is exactly what it sounds like. It's actually it's the opposite of a diet. So you're adding calories back into your diet very slowly and strategically in order to really strengthen your metabolism. Our metabolism doesn't break per se, but basically the amount of calories that we can eat before gaining weight, that can drop if we don't foster a stronger metabolism after dropping into a cut. So it's the very small incremental increase of adding more food into your diet on a week-to-week basis, very slowly.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
And then, because I remember you've been talking about reverse dieting for a while now, because I think one of the first times I've ever heard the term when you said it.
Yeah.
Some social media, or maybe it was an article or something.
Yeah, because when I did bodybuilding in 2015, I worked with a coach and I worked with a team, and you work your ass off to get this like lean fit, whole body, and you cut and you eat so strictly and you eat by all these rules, and your body does change, right? If you do it right, and you're eating pretty low calories, and then you step on stage and it's all over, right? Like it's done. So then what? I was very disappointed with the aftercare, and the next steps, and coming off of, such strict guidelines and such a rigid plan to having absolutely nothing to follow. I felt completely lost. And I was like, there has to be a better way to do this. So in 2015, you really didn't hear people talking about reverse diet. I did my own research, and I really I discovered that this was actually a modality to do post very hard cuts, and it was perfect for people doing bodybuilding. I, of course, have to experiment on myself before I propose anything and write a new program. I'm always doing it on myself. So I reverse dieted myself. I did it twice because I did two shows. So I learned. And especially like I had to overcome my first eating disorder, which was orthorexia, which spawned from bodybuilding, of course. So so it was a hard time for me, but you know what? It was a blessing because I not only learned about nutrition and what I wanted long-term for myself, but I learned about reverse dieting, and I learned how to work with myself during that very vulnerable time of coming out of that eating disorder. And now I'm able to work with a lot of young people as well, because a lot of young people, they deal with disordered eating habits and eating disorders. So I've worked with a lot of young girls in particular when it comes to eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder. And we have done reverse dieting a lot of the time, Yeah, no, it's not a sure set way to, and it doesn't always work, but it's not like a guaranteed thing, but it can absolutely help a lot of people, and it has helped me, and it has helped a lot of clients.
Okay. Cool. Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Another question. This one's more for me. So what do you use to track all your workouts?
Yeah.
And give workouts to your clients?
Yeah. So right now I pivoted to an app called Everfit. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Is it with a little green leaf as the icon or something?
Let me see what their icon is. Yeah, it's an app. It is like a little green leaf. Yeah. So that's where I host my clients. I like the app. I wouldn't say like I'm in love with it. I like it. It's quite expensive.
Oh, really?
And yeah,
how much?
dude, I'm paying like over $200 a month.
Damn.
Because they upcharge you for every single thing.
What's up with microdosing? Because I may or may not have some stuff here.
Okay, yeah, we have to keep that a little vague.
Yeah.
You don't, you know? I would say, well, it's not for everyone. I think, it's important to note that it's a subperceptual amount of a psychedelic substance, yes, which means that it's so small. Microdosing is supposed to be so small that you don't necessarily feel the effects, but what happens over time is it builds up in your body on a cellular level. It's changing your body. So that's the benefit of it. But people who should avoid it, anyone who has any kind of mental health conditions, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, severe anxiety, severe depression, anyone who is on any lithium medication, anyone who's pregnant or breastfeeding, you should avoid it. So once we rule that all out, then you're good to go. But yeah, it can absolutely change your life in all the good ways. But it doesn't work for everyone. Like it's not just a magic pill. But I have found that it works really well with people, obviously with an open mind, and everyone who meets that criteria that I just listed who are not, right? And then, you have to be in the right mental headspace for it, because what it does is it's an emotional amplifier. So it's not necessarily going to fix you. If you're somebody who is depressed, if you're somebody who is angry, it's going to bring those emotions to the surface where you're going to have to face those emotions. So it's not going to fix them for you. You're going to have to face it and still do the work, but it has the opportunity to bring all those emotions to light. If you're willing to do the inner work and you have the patience and the time for it, it could be remarkable. It has helped me personally with managing my PMS symptoms. It's helped me with my creativity, my focus, and people report back, especially I hear from parents, that they're much more patient with their child, that they experience more moments and pockets of gratitude and happiness throughout the day. But again, it is important to kind of consult with an integrative coach. Not all doctors work with this. I've been working on and off with therapists and doctors for the last 5 years who are afraid to touch it still, because it is still a Schedule 1 drug. And it's important to note that I don't provide it, and I'm not a doctor and not a professional. I'm not telling people what to do. This is for education.
Well, you're not selling?
Only. Absolutely not. So, if people come to me already with product and they understand that this is this is not by any means like professional advice, and I'm not a doctor, but yeah, I've had therapists and doctors reach out to me where we work jointly with their client because they can't touch it because they have licenses. So, they could lose their license, God forbid, if they get caught. This is a very fine line. And because we work in this kind of gray area between we're not doctors, we're not therapists, we don't hold any kind of licenses with state. We can kind of dabble in this, but you still need to be very careful. So yeah, it works. It works if you're willing to do the work, and if you don't have any of those mental health conditions, you're not pregnant, breastfeeding, and you're not on any kind of, medications that might interact with it.
Well, one last thing. Flash round. Overrated, underrated. Okay?
Okay.
So mushroom microdosing.
Underrated. Hell yeah. Well,
because
they don't want us to heal. Because they don't want us to heal. They're trying to keep it under wraps, man. They are trying to just prescribe, and prescribe and not heal the root cause. So underrated, 100%.
All right. Before and after photos for personal trainers.
Overrated.
Overrated. I've heard the opposite. I've heard that it's not enough trainers do it, and it's kind of like a testimonial, right?
It is. Yes, I think you could have other testimonials, though. I think you could have client verbally getting on and talking about their experience. I think that, I think you could what I've done over time also is build up my Google reviews. Every single time a client leaves, I ask them, hey, this is what we accomplished. Really proud of you. Thank you so much for working with me. Do me a huge favor. This is how I get new clients. This is how I build my business. Please write me a Google review. And I'm adamant. I follow up with those bitches. Hey, you didn't leave me a review. Please do this. So yeah, but look, it all depends on your brand. I think if you're strictly a fat loss coach, I think, then that is really important. And I think you can absolutely promote your services by before and after pictures. I've gotten away from it in the last 10 years or so because, again, I'm not trying to solely attract people who want to just lose weight. In fact, it kind of bores me. So, I'm trying to work with people more on the hormonal level. That's why like I work with people reverse dieting. It doesn't always have that before and after kind of effect. But if you are a coach who really that's your bread and butter, then it's important.
Okay, true, true. All right, meditation.
Underrated.
Underrated. I think it's definitely underrated. It's probably more fashionable now,
Yes,
but people are still not doing it.
they're not
And
doing it. It's not sexy, and it's
yeah, it's
hard
not
to kind of
sexy.
pinpoint. That's
Yeah.
why I've gone like more with like breath work because breath work is more tangible. Like if
Mm,
especially like with a silent meditation, like how can you promote that? It's a little harder, but
yeah.
yeah, still underrated.
Oh, what do you do when you're? Well, what I've been doing, I try to count to 10 or count whatever, count numbers, and then I forget the number. Then I'm thinking about
That's
something
good.
else. So like, oh, yeah.
Okay.
But then you go
That's
back, right? And that's
that's
what you got
right.
to keep doing.
Mantra. I
Oh,
have a mantra based
okay.
practice. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Dance cardio.
I'm not sure. Maybe underrated. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think dancing is fun. It's joyful. I wouldn't say it's like your sole. It shouldn't be your sole cardio activity, but it's
Right, right.
joyful, and anything that brings you into the present moment and gives you joy is a win.
True, true, very true. Yeah, as long as you getting out there and working out, right? Being active,
That's it.
get out the
Moving
house.
your body. Yeah.
That's that's what matters.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it. We did it.
Yay! Thanks, Hector.
Yeah, it's great connecting with you.
You too.
I wrote this down on the board. Like, why am I doing this podcast, right?
Uh huh.
And I think I'm doing it to have like an excuse to reconnect with some old friends, or just make friends, make more friends.
Absolutely.
Because,
Yeah.
well, I think that just being, leaving the whole country and then living here,
Totally.
it's,
That could be
you
isolating, I'm
know,
sure.
yeah, it's isolating.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I remember all the people back in New York or other people I make friends with. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but in my head, I need a reason to text you or contact you. All right, cool.
All
All right,
right,
Amanda,
Hector.
have a
Thank you.
great day today.
You too.
Enjoy
Have
New
a good
York
night.
City.
Thank you.
Go get a pastrami sandwich for me.
I will.
I'll be happy.
All right, my dear. Have a good day. Thanks a lot.
All right, you too. Bye
Hey.
bye.